Hi everyone, and welcome to Your Best You. I'm Reverend Dr. Kat. I'm with Joan Kazmarzik today again, my co-host.
Hi everyone.
We're here from remote, thanks to Nutmeg TV. They've been such a blessing helping us to do a remote show. You know, it's such a passion of mine to do the show. And I'm so grateful for Joan to come along with the ride with me on it. So
thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So it's great. Last week's show, I had a kind of conversations that might have been considered to be a little controversial.
Mm-hmm.
Just around, you know, the masculine and the feminine elements. We always keep it heart-based. And so this week I thought interesting because I've been chatting about puppies. You've seen Joan's dogs, you've seen my little Chihuahua guy, and I've had children on and done a lot of show with the neighbors. And one of the issues that we haven't talked about is about being kind of where we are in COVID as an adult in terms of how we're connecting.
Mm-hmm.
And most of us have either been very, very busy or scrambling around creating a new way of paradigm with the new elements that we're working with, and others have been more home-based, trying to figure out how to scramble around with those elements. So I think any way you look at it,
no matter
we've
how
all
you
been reinventing ourselves. And in a positive way, we have an opportunity here to take, as I said, the things that feel like they're not going to be very positive for us and turn them into something else. You know, spinning hay into gold. You know, that's that old fairy tale, right?
Yes, yes.
She sat up there and she spun that hay into gold. My dad used to say, "Oh, you have a beer budget and a champagne taste, but I've spun hay into gold and I can spot really nice things and get it with very little because I have a beer budget but champagne tastes." So it doesn't mean that I don't get my caviar, because I have places that I can go.
That's right.
Where I'm able to get very nice caviar.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know, it's $3.
Right.
So, you know, I've learned as a 65-year-old woman, single and fighting through this world, you know, because I spent so much time with education and I've spent so much time with the learnedness and then the writing. You know, I spend so much time in that element that it's time to start looking at other forms of connection. Okay, but then COVID came.
It really threw a monkey
wrench into everything, because you had been seeing someone, you've been seeing someone for a while, that we can talk about that someday, how they met. One of those lovely stories where you say, well, you never know, see, spinning hay into gold.
Into gold, exactly.
So, but then the COVID came, and these two, they kept going for quite some time, you know, because I was here writing. Because I had to put full brakes on, because where I was, it wasn't going to work at all
No,
for me,
no.
unfortunately. So, I have now these various limitations, but we all have the limitations.
Yes, we do.
And so
We
where
still
we
have to
are,
be-
right,
we
where we
still
are
have to be
now is
careful.
like, even though we're where we have to wear our masks, etc. I always want to call the show etc. lately because
Yeah.
it's my favorite word now. Even if it's not a word, it seems to be one. And
Something
go
from-
out.
Yeah.
But you have to be with someone you're comfortable with.
Exactly.
Right. And or start something new if you're up for that too.
Exactly.
But
But again, it's hard to meet.
you got to go out with.
Right.
You have to have the masks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always have your mask with you. Always have, I would say, some hand sanitizer
Yes.
and paper towels with you.
Yeah.
Because if you happen to go someplace and suddenly you're feeling like, well, wait a second, I kind of touched something that might not feel right.
Yeah.
You can just pull that
Pull
out
that
of
out
our
and
magic
clean your-
bag.
Yep.
But no.
Yeah.
I miss I miss that interaction part. I really do.
Oh yeah.
I miss having someone. I know you've been with this person for a couple of years now.
Well, yeah.
About 2 years plus. Because the fire was in
January.
2018.
January 2018, and I
it's
met him
past
in the
January
fall.
of
In the
20,
fall.
right? So it's coming up to the 2 year.
Yeah.
2 year time. So I mean, every weekend you guys are together. That'd be a lot, isn't that a lot every weekend? But no, it's not. I guess I don't know.
It's only
It's-
one day a week.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, different strokes and different folks. But
Yeah. But it basically with my work schedule and with everything else, that's the only time that we do have.
I tease her
I know
because
she
this is someone who said to me when they met, the first question was from the person, "You're not interested in having a relationship, right?" and she said, "Yeah, no, I don't want a relationship." And I'm laughing because I'm like, but they were gone the first moment they met, so it must be a true love story that I'm witnessing and I'm
He's
hopefully
very
writing about
nice,
in a certain
very
to a
nice
certain
person.
extent. He's 77, right?
Correct.
77
Yes.
years old.
Yes.
So it's a good age group.
Good age group.
know.
And
And so you're able to go and do things that they like together.
exactly.
So I thought Joan was going to talk about it, but she makes me
We
pull
would-
things out of her like crazy. I was like,
Yeah, we do.
So over the time, they took a few weeks off. They didn't go out, but they kept going out through this whole COVID season. I was like, oh my! But there are a lot of people who are out for a lot of reasons.
But what we did is, we always make, when we're going somewhere, we do make sure we have our masks. We do make sure that we're socially distanced from other people. It was nice to be able to go back out for breakfast. It was kind of strange that first couple of times because when you walk in, of course, all of the staff have masks. They're very, very careful about cleaning things. They do, when you go into a place now, the tables, they have it staggered so that people are not sitting right next to each other anymore. So you probably have half capacity or less than what you used to have.
What's the age group of the people in the diner that show up?
That goes from little kids to older people.
So it's a very
So
diverse.
It's a very diverse.
And
yes.
all of them that you go to. How long do the people stay in the diner? I know you and your friend stayed there for 4 hours. Pretty much 3 hours. I always exaggerate a little bit for humor, and she takes it seriously. The woman's
I'm
known
like,
me forever, and she still
I'm
goes
sitting
through it.
there going, yeah, no, it's not quite
It's a
that long, but that's
hyperbole.
okay.
It's hyperbolic. That's all. Yeah.
But I mean, people stay there. They have their breakfasts, and they usually, they may hang out for a little while, linger over coffee.
Well, I
but
figure you stay there for a couple of hours, so you
Yeah.
get to see the
we
traffic.
get to see the traffic. Yeah.
Okay, she's
Yeah.
staying there for a while. Okay, so and then after that, you guys go to a store or something like that.
Sometimes,
usually?
yeah. Well, sometimes if we have something that we need to go shopping for, we'll go to a store like Walmart or something and get what we need, and then we go over to his house, and we'll hang out there. And then usually, what will happen is I take a break to come here and take care of the dogs for a little
And
bit.
where do you find me?
I find you usually buried in a book, a book or a good movie.
Yeah, yeah, I do like
So,
the movies
Yeah,
too.
you do. You know,
But I prefer the getting into this book.
yeah, I know you do. But usually,
So-
if it's Sunday, it's usually your day to take a break from that.
I try to take
So,
a break once
yeah,
a week
so- yep,
from
so,
the work mode and de-stress myself.
Exactly. So usually, like I said, it's usually she's
Meditate.
she can be meditating. She might be reading a good book, or she. The good thing with our cable system is there are lots of good movies that you can
YouTube.
watch.
I can do the
Watch,
YouTube.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
have ocean because
Yes,
that's
it's
where
very
I
beautiful.
ultimately want to be, is by the ocean in a house, and you know, the
I can't
fairy
blame you
tale.
there. Yeah.
The little fairy tale Kathleen who has these, you know, ideas in her mind. Well, you know, I created that fairy tale world. Listen, when you talk about women, we're formed from our fathers.
Yeah.
And my father was a rough man. He was a great doctor, but he was a very challenging person. You know, I was, and my brothers were challenged as well. We were all very challenged by him, but I was the only, you know,
No, I get it. 'Cause-
only woman there, you know, really, you know, we were on those 20 acres out there. We had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and get chicken eggs and clean stalls and
Yikes.
make breakfast and do laundry. And it's like crazy for, you know, 6th grade on
Yeah.
kind of stuff. But that part kind of forms you. So I learned how to make this world of fancy that I lived in the barn.
Yes, you told me about that.
And I used to just go up there because it was how I dealt with sadness and things like that.
You
And
have
I
a
would
little
sing,
escape. Yeah.
and I would make up all these little things that would happen, you know, like, oh, someday
Yeah,
my
yeah.
prince will come, you know.
On the white horse.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but, you know, you fall in love, you get your heart broken, and then you have to, you know, I said to Joan, there's a song, how do you mend a broken heart? How do you stop the rain from falling down? How do you stop the sun from rising? You can't
You
mend a
can't.
broken heart.
No.
All you can do is you live with a broken heart, just like when you've lost in any way.
Yeah.
You live with it, your heart's broken,
And hopefully
and you
find
forgive
it.
and
Right.
you love,
And you
and
find it
you
you
know,
love.
well, or you rebuild.
Exactly.
You know, just
Exactly.
because your heart's been broken, it doesn't mean that you can't sew it with the golden thread.
That's true
You
too.
can't go through life with people that you know and think that it's going to be blissful and lovey-dovey and perfect hun and dear
No.
forever
that's-
and ever, amen.
No,
Because
because
it's rare, you know, even throughout being in love with a person, you hurt one another.
Yeah.
Because you basically can only really hurt
The one you love
the
the
people
most.
you love.
The people who you love. Yeah.
because nobody else gives a hoot. Right?
This is true.
You can't
This
hurt
is
somebody
true.
if they don't care about
Yeah, if they
you.
don't give,
and
if
you
they don't give
care
a hoot about
them.
you, yeah, that's
It's just not possible.
Yeah.
But we do end up hurting people, and sometimes we don't even know that
Exactly.
we are. So,
exactly.
you know, being sensitive, and always, I think my counsel, being Dr. Ruth Cat, when it comes to that, no, love is always, I think love is forever, and I don't think anything ever takes that away. And I don't think you can, if it's really true love, I don't think you can kill it.
No.
I think you can try.
Yeah, but
I don't think it can be killed
no,
because
no,
if
not
it's
if
true
it's
love,
not if it's supposed to be. Not if
it's true love.
yeah,
So,
and
you know,
be there and
that's the interesting thing about that. And channel it if you're going through an unrequited love set time or whatever, or perhaps the person loves you too, but they don't know how to express it.
yeah, that can happen.
I
That
mean,
can
the
happen.
first thing that the fellow that you have gotten involved with was, now you're not interested in having a relationship, are you?
Right.
And she, of course, is like, no, I don't want a relationship.
Right.
And yet, they've been in a
No,
relationship,
yes,
you
we
know.
do.
So a
So-
lot of times, it's best to just don't say anything.
Yeah,
Just let it
Just
unfold.
let it. Yeah, let's see what happens.
Right.
Which is
But,
basically what we did.
you want to pull little Ruby over?
What would you
Just
like to
slide
do?
the bed for me, please. Just slide the
Would
bed.
you like to come over
Yeah.
here?
Ruby's here. He always likes to be in the show.
Right.
Yeah, I have that so that he could, you know, have his little ball. That's my little love. He's
You can sit right there.
little Chihuahua.
Yeah, well, he was on the show last week. He came right
He's
up.
everywhere all the time.
Yes,
He's
he
a
is.
little spirit of love and light, foreverness, keeps holding on. But yeah, if you have a true love and you love, it's always going to be there. Love doesn't die.
No.
That's
No,
the thing
that's
about
true.
it.
That's true.
And that's a good way to test it. Hey, that's true. Now, I never thought of that. So, even if someone's like, yeah, but if that love never dies, no matter what, then you know for sure it's real. So it can go, if everything's going really well,
Yeah,
how do you test the love?
that's true.
Because where's there a chance for
Where's the
forgiveness
chance?
and
Right, right, right,
reconciliation and
Or
things
where's
that
there
matter
or a
in a-
challenge of
you
some
know,
sort?
in the real world of, life.
Yeah.
Where, even if you're the type like myself of, I want to meditate and keep things love and light, I'm always getting bombarded by stuff.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I do a lot of wall work for Joan.
Mhm.
She'll come in with, oh my God, and I'll take it, boom, 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 boom. And then I'll go, okay, this is what, here, let's do this, or maybe this would be a good idea. Why don't you take a note on this, or let's follow through and let me remind you, so I'll support that.
Yeah. She's a good sounding board.
I'll
That's-
hopefully give some good counsel
Yeah,
too,
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. I can kind of bounce things off of you.
Yeah. Yeah. So that whole part of love, I think it's an intimacy and being together. I think this COVID season, as hard as it may be, I think it's a good area to see what's the level of the love that
Right.
you're sensing
Yeah.
from whomever you may be wanting to know or who you may have known, but then you've gone through this time of separation and isolation.
Yeah.
One, it's always a good time to use it to improve yourself. Okay. And then
And then secondly is what happens to the relationship because of that? Does it get stronger?
right.
Does it, and I'm sure there are some people that have been in relationships and when this COVID hit and they weren't able to see each other, it basically fell apart.
You think?
I
It fell
think so.
apart,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think so. There are some relationships, just that it just didn't survive. Because
Let him walk over.
Yeah.
Kim. He's
Mhm.
afraid he's going to fall.
Mhm.
Always. Just in the case. Bring the case over. Thanks.
wanna come over?
I always am tending to the little guy on the camera because I figure he's a kind of a little part of the show for some people who like to see him. He's in his little carry case right now. And what's that room? Yeah, so I think that it's a good way to test the waters of wherever you are.
Yeah.
Even with a friendship, a friend is there.
Yeah.
A friend is there no matter what,
Exactly.
if they're your
Exactly.
friend.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's why I think the best relationships start from friendship.
Yes. Yeah, they do. That you can always grow on that.
Right.
So.
Well, not even grow. You have a relationship
You have
as
a
friend.
relationship as a friend.
Okay. It's not always about moving in together.
Right. Exactly.
So it's how do you handle the separation during this time?
Mm-hmm.
And if you are able to be together, Joan and her friend have been getting together every weekend, and they are able to. He just had a little procedure done,
Yep.
and before the procedure was done, they tested him to see if he was COVID.
Yep, that's standard
That's
procedure.
standard procedure.
Right.
And so he came no COVID.
He
So
absolutely
came
up no COVID.
there's-
But he also had to isolate.
quarantining.
He had a
absolutely.
quarantine from the day of the COVID test until after the procedure.
I think what's happening a little bit in Connecticut, maybe, I don't know other places, but what's making it a little bit awkward in Connecticut is that there are people who travel a lot, because your friend doesn't really travel much.
He
the guy
pretty
who's
much he stayed
home,
pretty much at home.
But if you have someone who travels a lot,
Yeah.
and then they're in all these multiple places, it's kind of like, Well, what are all the different procedures that everybody's having to go through because it keeps changing?
I know it because there are certain states, the current thing in Connecticut, there are certain rules that if you go to one of the hot states, you have to self quarantine for 2 weeks.
Mhm.
And then, with where I work, if you have to do that, you then have to have a COVID test, and it has to come up negative before you're allowed to go back to work.
So there's a lot of
So there are a lot of rules
strictures
there.
in place.
Yeah. But there are, like I said, and they have a list of states that are considered the hot states.
So are they tracking you at the borders, or what's going on?
I'm not sure, but I think that there have been reports that they have been stopping people as they come into Connecticut and saying, where have you been?
Mhm. Well, I'm
And-
not out there,
No,
so
no, you're not.
I've been in working on the book, and I spend a lot of time working on me, I guess, and
Yeah,
restructuring everything and getting ready to see what happens when there's the shift, so that
when things open up more, yeah.
yeah, and it doesn't feel like that's happening very soon.
And no, I think this has been a very long process. It's probably the safest way they can do it
Mm.
because they don't want to open up too many things too quickly.
Mhm.
And then you end up having problems like they have down south where they opened things up too quick and they had a huge spike.
They just
in
had
COVID.
right up at UConn. The kids had
Yeah,
a party.
They had a party and
So,
and
and a lot of people in Connecticut are having house parties. So the house parties and the kid parties.
and they're
I
supposed
guess
to
there's a
limit
big
the
need in Connecticut to party, huh? Is that what it is?
I guess so. I think that people are getting it's starting to wear on people. The lack of
Human contact.
human contact. It hurts. It's tough.
You're out. What are you talking about?
Well, yeah, I know, but
How's it hurting you? She's funny that way,
oh, but I feel
Should I say it's never enough? No.
No.
But
But
seriously?
Well, yeah, but a little more would be nice.
every weekend. A little more. Okay, Blanche.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Golden girl.
Golden girls.
Golden girl.
Okay, I'm putting my Blanche on. What
Yeah.
can I tell you?
So, but no, but I mean, we're talking about just being around and getting around, and
Yeah.
I have spent a lot of time talking about the schools and the kids and how that's working out, and
And we're only a couple of weeks from them going back, if they go back. And what exactly is it going to be like? And
no, they're already pulling that all out.
Yeah.
And besides, we have flu season coming, so
Yeah.
it's
I don't know.
everything. But it's interesting with all the cleaning and everything that's been going on, and all these extra precautionary measures that have been being taken. I gather that the flu and all of those cold things will probably be less this year,
I would think so.
because I mean, people were like sneezing in the air before. I mean, so did
And people are,
Ugh.
yeah.
Can you
and
believe that though?
Yeah, but
I mean-
people are being much more conscious.
Not
of-
covering their mouth and
Yeah.
stuff. I don't understand those types of behaviors, but now we have more hygienic concepts of
Yeah.
how we're going to be in exchanging
Exactly.
bodily fluids with one another,
Yeah.
so to speak,
So,
because we have plumes
Yeah.
now, and
And I think
you
you're
have
right.
to wear a
A
mask and a shield, and get ready to go to Mars because get the outfits on because we're getting ready,
Yeah.
But
I think you're right. I think it may make the flu season less severe.
I have a question, and I brought it up. All the testing and everything, they have the people test before they come in, but I don't think that they're testing the doctors before they do their surgeries and everything. And in the nursing homes, they're starting to test. They test like twice a week, and I guess that's how they're keeping track of things. But now that they want you all to go back into the hospital, look, my dad was a doctor, so I'm going to say it. You know, he's in the grave. But I would be bold, like he told me to be bold. He would say, look, if they're asking you to pee in a cup, he goes, you make sure that the president of that organization is sitting right next to you, peeing in the cup too. So my dad was intense, you know. So
That's for sure.
he was intense. So, you know, when I look at how the practice of medicine and that, you know, and the asymptomatic nature of the virus, when they want you to be COVID free, why not turn the table just a little bit and make sure that your doctor has taken a test as well and is COVID free? And I think that's good counsel. And I'm sure that the profession wouldn't necessarily agree with me. But then again, they don't agree with me, and I didn't agree with them.
90% of the time, yeah.
You know,
But
so
but
you know,
because
it's so pharmaceutically driven, the industry, and they're getting ready to pump everybody with vaccines that haven't really been properly tested.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter because whoever gets in line is going to, you know, and they're coming up with false positives and false negatives, and it's just, well, but we have to test it, and we don't have a pool and a time to do it, so we're going to do it in the now, which means that it's not accurate, and you know, you can,
and potentially deadly.
well, I mean, it's like going in and being diagnosed with stage 3 cancer, and then have the doctors do all the stuff, and then only find out that maybe, say, for example, you never had it.
Yeah.
You know, it's that
I'm
kind of.
really sorry,
you know,
but the test results were wrong.
Well, but with COVID, what is different is that they'll give you a test, and then you have to quarantine yourself if you're positive.
Right.
But what happens if they test your children? Are you supposed to quarantine your kids? And when it's adults, are you supposed to quarantine yourself? And do you quarantine yourself?
Yeah.
These are all these little nuances to
Yeah.
it, because humans have a tendency to be, you know, strong and, you know, I'm going to do it my way kind of thing.
Right.
And it's not going to affect me, so I don't have to worry about it. Or, you know, humans, we're all humans, so we have this way of approaching, and they say, oh, the young people do it, the older people do it too. You know, life, being here is risky. You know, walking out the door is risky.
That's
Everything is a risk, but we calculate them. And so, you know, I guess my prayer for everyone is that you are at least taking the time to calculate your risk and taking into consideration the other people, so that, you know, we're all being considerate.
Exactly.
You know, I went and hid in Washington when I took my risk.
Yes, you did.
I isolated myself and tried to keep everyone out of it, so that no one would in any way have to be linked if anything should happen. So, but, you know, I knew I was taking a risk, but for my life, I was willing to take the risk.
Yep.
And if it worked, then I was willing to be able to put myself out on the line again and say to people, hey, listen, this is what I did.
Right.
And,
exactly.
you know, so, and at least that way, as a human, I feel that I'm following through with my purpose, which is, you know, if you are able to do something and you can help another human, then, you know, you're going to extend that. And then it's up to them. So I've done my work with Under Thunder Mountain, and I've chatted, and I have all the Facebook, and you can contact me at underthundermountain@gmail with any, you know, contact if you're interested in finding out about my books. And I'm not a medical doctor. My doctorate is in medical humanities. So I really focus a lot on our narratives, which is basically the format for this show is narrative. And I usually bring guests on. But being that we're in the COVID season, we're in the home, and Joan and I are housemates. So, but I think it's kind of cute the way your friend, your gentleman friend, was so anti-relationship, and yet, you know, so you wonder, are people walking and talking the same language? And then if you have,
I think we just decided to let it. You know, we both, we weren't.
I think that's a
specifically-
funny way to start something.
Yeah.
I think it's very funny to start something like that. I'm just saying. But I'm just saying that then, whatever your, I lost my train now because I was trying to tie that to that. Whatever is happening for you during the isolation, again, try to use it as much as a time to self-love, self-reflect, self-improve. Because when the gates open, you're going to be a better self, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And there was something else I wanted to just do a quick chat on, but let me check the time.
I think we got to be getting close here.
Probably. Yeah, I think we're about there. So I guess I'll end on that note, which is taking care of yourself, the self-love, the self-care. And part of that is being able to engage with other human beings. And with the isolation, if you can't get out, or the person that you would like to see isn't available because they're traveling,
or
and on a different work schedule. I'm blessed. I get to talk to someone that I care about every once in a while on the phone.
I know that's
So that means a lot to me.
It sure does.
Because my heart, but those moments I sew into the whole fabric of the quilt of my relationship. So I make a whole big covering blanket for me with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because when this person
precious.
met me, he saw pretty and smart. But see, my father saw stupid and fat. Okay. And so this man saw something different in me that the most fundamental man in my life had not seen. So he lit a fire under my life.
He sure did.
And that's been a long time. And
Yep.
it's still
and
there.
It's still there. And,
So,
and she is pretty and smart.
Oh, well, I always think that's, it's a sweet thing to say, isn't it? It reminds me of Rudolph. He thinks I'm cute.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what people see and what they really know about you can sometimes be very different.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love you much. Take care of yourself. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
We'll be back next week.
We'll be back next week. Yes.
I'm working on the lighting. Pray for me with it. I just can't get it bright enough. Bye.
Bye, everyone.